Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about what happened last night. Uh, Pretty solid slate of games we had. Only 7 was on the slate. It was a small one. Uh, I didn't play a ton. I didn't go all the way in, but I doubled my buy-in, and that's always great. Had some really solid stacks, some pretty decent one-offs. Pick man, it was pretty good for me, man. It was pretty good. I read the slate pretty well, pretty well. Not as good as I have in the past, but I read today's slate pretty well. It was very decent. A few things I was just completely on. And before we get started, man, yesterday's show we had kind of a different feel for the way I decided to start the show and what we brought it in talking about the Colin Kaepernick stuff. Check this out. Now, this is coming from Twitter, okay? This is coming from the Little League World Series Twitter. And I want you to take a look at this kid, man. This is awesome.
Coaches were talking before the game, Ryan Danbury and Jeff White, Brian Elwine, they said he can hit it in the trees. Now, if he hits it that far, that'd be amazing.
There you go. It's a grand slam, no doubt. And guess what? It's in the trees.
You know, we rehearsed this before the game, folks. Not really. Probably 375 feet. No doubter. This ball way up top of the berm.
Kid goes out, smacks a jack, and hits it in the trees, bro. I'm talking a 13-year-old kid. Shout out to the homie. I think his name is Jace Blaylock. Plays for the Georgia team that came down here and smacked the shit out of the South Carolina team. But yo, dude went nuts with that. That was crazy. Smacked a jack, bro. Hit it in the trees. That was wild. This game was like 375 feet. He was 13. 13, bro. That's nuts. That's nuts. Awesome, man. Good stuff from him. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened. We're going to start going over my Twitter poll every day. I try to drop a nice Twitter poll. I at least want to get 100 people to get involved, okay? And I asked, who will be tonight's gang stack of the MLB main slate? It was pretty overwhelming. At the top, we had the Chicago Cubs, of course, and the Cincinnati Reds. Both of those teams made it into my top 4 stacks. As a matter of fact, all 4 of these teams in my top 4 stacks. I wanted to be contrarian and play some Kansas City Royals. And, yo, the Royal stack did not work out bad. I mean, my Royal stack wasn't bad because I had just felt deep down in my spirit that Mike Moustakas was going to hit a jack. He did that. Hosmer hit a jack. Moss hit a jack. Milky Cabrera had like 5 points, so that wasn't bad. The only dude that really sucked was Whit Merrifield. He only had 3 points. But that was still a very decent stack, but you had to get that perfectly. Okay? The Chicago Cubs, decent, not great. Didn't see the amount of runs I thought I was going to see, so that wasn't very good. Same thing with the Angels, man. The reason why I like the Angels is because everybody's going to be so stuck on Trout, and I knew I was going to have a ton of Trout. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stack the Angels, and hopefully not only does he get up for his birthday and for his 1,000th hit, but the rest of the team does too, and they didn't. Then when I saw Cameron Maybin back in the fold, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going all in on some Angels, and it wasn't great at all. It should have went the other way. The Baltimore Orioles, man, they're on another level right now from where they were during the beginning of the season. Machado he's gonna end up having a great season because he's playing crazily right now, and he wasn't playing very well in the first half. He's gonna end up having one of those regular, great Manny Machado seasons. That's what it's boiling down to for him right now. So, seen some pretty good performances, man. All in all, it was a very good slate. Any time you go out and you can make a couple dollars, you're doing well. You're doing well, and there's nothing to be upset about there at all. So I've got no issue there. Let's go ahead and take a look. I think this is like one of my best. Well, this was my highest scoring lineup, but this is the one that I had the higher buy-in. This is my $12 lineup, okay? And it's crazy because Trevor Williams is there. I've got Santana, who I really liked. I thought he could be a decent play. And the reason why I like Santana is because he's a guy that can pitch deep into games. I really thought I was going to see maybe 8 innings of 3-hit, 1-run baseball for Urban Santana, maybe 8Ks against Milwaukee. I thought that was going to be, but that's just not what it was. He ended up getting 16.7. Really didn't kill me, but it didn't really help a lot. Contreras sucked a dick, horrible. Hit 2 jacks yesterday, couldn't do nothing for me today. Joey Votto went out, performed very well. And you're going to see this is a Cincinnati stack, of course. Billy Hamilton got off to a nice start, really solid one for him. Cozart was really nice. Of course, I had to get Trout in here, so I had him at the bottom. I had Jose Martinez from St. Louis. He had 8 points, was not bad at his price point. Got nothing from Valbuena at 2.3, nothing from Dozier, had 3 zeros. Still finished in the money. This is a $12 base hit single entry, 133, pretty solid score. Made more than double my buy-in in this one specific tournament. So it was all good. It was a decent night. Can't complain. Can't argue with that. It was okay. It was okay. Now, let's take a look at some of the studs and duds from tonight. First thing we're going to talk about is the pitching, man. Dylan Bundy, this is not the end, because when this game went final, he got some more points for the win. So Dylan Bundy, very nice one. Trevor Williams, 27.95, very nice one. And the optimizer kept on feeding me Carlos Martinez. And what I'm talking about is RotoQL. Very solid optimization stuff, very solid, clean-looking shit. Man, I'm going to use it for NFL for my first time in NFL using it this season. So yeah, I was in. I was in there, bro. I was in the fire, man. It kept giving us Carlos Martinez, and I was telling people in the group, hey, yeah, you can play Carmart if you want, but I'm just not going to do it. And I'm sure some guys played him. I'm sure some guys did it. I didn't. It wasn't very nice. Scherzer, 25.55. We talk about it all the time, how you do not have to pay up for pitching all the time. On a smaller slate is the only time when I have to, think about paying up for pitching. Like, you look at Carlos Martinez, you look at Max Scherzer and what he's been doing lately, not having awesome games, but on a 7-game slate, I was like, yeah, out of the 7, 8, 9 lines I'm going to put in, I'm going to have him in 1. And that's what happened. It didn't kill me, but it just wasn't excellent. It wasn't 12.8 worth. It just wasn't. Looking at some of the duds studs in terms of batting, the homie Jose Pirela, who I did have some exposure to, loved him. Shout out to ACP the Don, because it was inside of the line drive when he talked about playing some of those San Diego Padres guys that we actually right then, while I was going through my spiel and telling everybody what I felt, I was able to shift focus and, well, let's look at the San Diego Padres lineups a little bit. And it kind of took me off of it kind of took me a little bit off of chasing. It took me off of him just a little bit. Once I got to a couple of the bats from San Diego, it kind of took me off of them and made me want to play even more of my Cincinnati guys, because that was one of my favorite stacks. So I was all Cincinnati. And of course, Votto, 25, Cozart right there, 23, Matt Carpenter was dope, Colton Wong was great, Patrick Keverland, all these awesome stuff. So now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the duds in terms of pitching, man. Brent Suter was trash, 2.8. JC Ramirez, trash. So was Chris O'Grady. Chris O'Grady, he only pitched like 1.5 innings. It wasn't really great for him. Seth Riddick, what's up, big homie? Ian Kennedy got hit the fuck up. Jordan Zimmerman, 8.35. Chasen, 8.7. Tim Adelman. Tim Adelman, it was one point in the night where Adelman owners were like, I am a genius. And then he just, the bottom fell out, and he just started to give up runs, and it was bad. So, but decent. It was only 4.2. 4.6 on salary. Ended up getting you 10 points. That was decent. You can't really argue with that. You really can't. It wasn't bad. You can't argue with that. All right, so the couple of gangs. We did have a couple of gang stacks. We talked about them. The St. Louis Cardinals was definitely one of the teams in question. But the problem with this stack would have been that you got Matt Carpenter, you got Colton Wong, you got Paul DeJong. Well, the dude jumps off of the bench and smacks a fucking grand slam, and that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone. Yeah, I mean, there was no way you could have gotten that from him. So tonight's gang stack is definitely the Cincinnati Reds. Looking at Joey Votto, Zach Cozart, Kevin Hand here, Joey Votto, Zach Cozart, Kevin Hand, Adam Duvall, Billy Hamilton, Alcantara was there, as well as Scooter Gennett. So you could have went 1 through 5 with them. You could have went Billy Hamilton, Cozart, because Cozy was good. Cozy was priced down at 3.4. He was nice. So you could have went Hamilton, Cozart, Votto, Duvall, Scooter, and you was good. And you'd have been perfect. You've been perfect. You've been perfect. So let's go ahead, man, and jump right on into today's slate. I'm going to go over on DraftKings, let you know we've got a 15-game all-day joint jumping off at 7. It's going to be nice. You got 3 games in a turbo starting at 7:35, and you got another 3 games at 8:10 in a turbo, 4 games in the night at 9:40, and then you got those 3 late night. Yeah, Kevin Ham was off the bench. Yeah, Kevin Ham was off the bench. I meant to say that when I was talking about Cincinnati. So you got 3 games in the late night at 10:05. So, yo, I'm going at 7:05 all day. I love this. 15 games. And if you're a little intimidated and you want to play the smaller slates, I've got no issue with that. I understand it makes perfect sense. But me, I'm gonna stick my dick all in this 15 games. Like, I'm going in. I'm going in on the 15. I like this one. I'm gonna section off a few games that I really love, and I'm gonna stack the shit out of them. Yo, Seth said, yo, there was a few pinch homers tonight, man, and those suck. Those really suck. Yeah, J-So hit a pinch homer jack. That was crazy. So let's go ahead, man, and chop it up, talk a little bit about it. We're going to be talking about pitching is what we want to do. We want to hammer down our pitching. We want to know what we have going into today's line drive at 5 in terms of the pitching that we've already got hammered down so we can look at it and already have that sectioned off so then we know what we can do with our batter stacks, okay? And plus, a lot of people are making shows right now. It is the night before, and they're going to be saying, oh, I like this guy, I like this guy. You don't know the fuck you like. You don't even see the batting orders. You probably said you like somebody from the Athletics, and then you found out, oh my God, Cameron Maybin is gonna be leading off. You see what I'm saying? So fuck all of that. We get to that when we get there. Okay, we get to that when we get there. We are gonna do some brief like skeleton type shit where we're gonna be discussing, some batter stacks that we like due to the statistics that we love to look at. In terms of our ISO, WOBA, and K rates, we're gonna do that. But for the most part, this is where we hammer down our pitching. We're gonna look at park factors. We're gonna look at BVP in the line drive at 5. It's gonna be dope. And if you want to be a part of that, man, you can jump in, and that's where I give out my guaranteed jack of the day. Yo, I've been pretty on with the last few guaranteed jacks. I think the last one I missed. Okay, the last one I missed on, I think it was Benintendi, because I was like, yo, Benintendi hits jack today. Then the game got canceled. So then the next game, I was like, you know what? I'm going back there, Benintendi. And then he doesn't hit a home run, but he scores 23 points. Then the game after that, Benintendi hits a jack. But in that game, I was like, no, I'm not going Benintendi. I am going Jackie Bradley Jr. I guarantee you Jackie Bradley hits a home run, goes out 3.7. Jackie Bradley Jr. Then today, I was like, yo, Moose. I'm all on Moustakas. He's going to hit a jack today. And I don't know who's going to be. I can't do it every day. I can't say, yo, every day I'm going to come out with a guaranteed jack. But when I do have that feeling, and when I have a feeling down deep in my bosom that says, yo, I know for a fact in my head, because I don't really know, but I can see this guy is going to hit a home run, and it's going to be 4K or less or around that price. And it's going to help you get him in all your lineups. If I can do that, I'm going to do that every day if I can. But I probably can't every day, but I'm going to try. All right? So fuck all that. Let's go and jump into it, man. The first game on the slate is going to be the Detroit Tigers and the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is part 2. And I'm going to be going over the DraftKings, man, just making sure we've got the correct pitching prospects as they are shown to be. We got Chad Kuhl here, Matthew Boyd. Let's make sure we have those same gentlemen on RotoQL. Yo, RotoQL, very solid shit, man. $29 a month. If you have to buy something, other than me, if you have to fuck with somebody other than me, this is what I would suggest. In terms of making your lineups and optimization features, doing shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would suggest. So we do have Matthew Boyd and Chad Kuhl. Chad Kuhl in his last start, he's priced to 6.8K in his last start, 28.15 against Cincinnati, 10.6 against San Diego, 7.5 against Colorado, 17.95 against Milwaukee. The dude does have decent upside. We are looking at the Detroit Tigers, who on the road versus righties. We talked about this yesterday, bro. Yo, yes, of course. I was on Pirella. Definitely. Yo, we talked about yesterday in the line drive, and actually, we talked about Detroit last night. We talked about them being bad on the road versus right-handed pitching. And I'm going to pull this up again. So I want you to take a look at it. Look at Detroit. They're not good, bro. 114 ISO, 302 WOBA with a 21.8% K rate. That is on the road versus right-handed pitching. Now, the first thing you're going to have to ask yourself, is Chad Kuhl the type of pitcher that can exploit the fact that the Detroit Tigers are not good on the road versus righties? He's got one thing working in his favor. Number one is he's going to be in PNC Park at home, a pretty decent place to pitch. Now I'm not sure if he's going to have. Well, excuse me. And another thing he's got in his favor is he should be in line for the win because Matthew Boyd fucking sucks. And if you look at the Pittsburgh Pirates and what they do at the crib versus lefties, maybe that should be able to give us a little bit more insight as to if we can play these guys or not. I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates here, 145 ISO, 335 wobble, which is interesting. The 145 ISO means it's just not going to be a lot of homers, not a lot of extra base hits. But the 335 wobble says it's going to be a fair amount of hits. The 17% K rate means this team doesn't strike out a lot. So for me, that would put the Pittsburgh Pirates in line for the win here. And I would say that Chad Kuhl is in a very similar situation to what last night's Pittsburgh pitcher was in. So he's a guy that I am going to consider. 6.8K, very solid price on him in a situation where the Detroit Tigers do not hit well on the road versus righties. I can get behind that. I can get behind that. No Matthew Boyd for me. Next game we got is the Miami Marlins and the Washington Nationals. Should be all clear, all set to go. I see we got Vance Worley at 4.7 and AJ Cole at 5.7. How was that? That was some BS because we set up all day. We set up all day to play the Washington Nationals righties, knowing that they were going to be getting a lefty pitcher and he could probably hit him. Nobody really wanted to play Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper is really decent against anybody, but I just don't love him as much as I do against righties, against lefties. Against lefties, I don't have to pay up that much for Bryce Harper. As soon as that kid left the game, as soon as O'Grady got taken out of the game, I said Bryce Harper is going to hit a jack against whoever they bring in this game if he's a right-handed pitcher, and that's exactly what he did. And I had zero exposure to Bryce Harper, zero. But I was all over Mike Trout. So that's the one thing that did save me in that respect. So we've got a 10-run total here in Nationals Park. Both two very bad pitchers on the mound. We've got 5-mile-per-hour wind coming back toward the infield, 60 dew point, 78 degrees. Vance Worley, 4.7. AJ Cole, 5.7. I have no interest in either of these pitchers here. I think we can play any bat we want on any side. I've got no interest in either pitcher here. Let's move on to the next game. We've got the New York Yankees, my New York Yankees, at the Rogers Center in Toronto, which is a very nice place to hit, baby. Oh, man. This is a very nice place. Let's go and check it out. I'm going to show it to you. I ain't just going to tell you. I'm going to show you. Let's go to Toronto and check it out. Rogers Center, 8th ranked right now in Park Factor, man. For every 100 runs produced around the league, you're going to get 105 here. For every 100 homers hit around the league, you're going to get 112 homers here at the Rogers Center. So this is a very solid place to hit, man. Very solid. You got CC Sabathia at 6.6, J.A. Happ at 7.5. We got two lefties on the mound. We're going to go over to DraftKings just to be sure these are the same. Bam, we're good. All right, so let's go and take a look. I want to know what the Yankees do on the road versus left-handed pitching. Let's take a look. 24.4%. They strike out 24.4% of the time. Woo! 24.4% of the time. That's bad. That is not good. 130 ISO with a 287 WOBA. Not great at all right now for my Yankees, man. They're not looking good. This is horrible. This says play hat. Like the 287 WOBA with a 130 ISO and a 24.4% K rate. This says play hat. That's what this says. But I hate to do that because I don't want to play hat. I don't want to play Hap against my Yankees, but it says play Hap. CC Sabathia at 6.6 on the other side. We know the Yankee starters have had trouble going, a ton of innings in games, especially not, everybody but Severino. You know what I mean? Hap is not the one to take advantage of the K rate. That's coming from Jason Gunnison. I do not want to play a lefty pitcher against my right-handed Yankees order. I just don't. But that's what it says. We're gonna come back and check it out in the line drive at 5. Right now, we're just compiling that. St. Louis wasn't looking good last night too, and look what they did, being dead last in everything. And that's what happens, man. That's the variance associated with MLB. The good thing about what we're doing here is it doesn't happen enough to totally throw out the numbers. It doesn't happen enough because the same way how The same way how we didn't play Detroit at all. Like I didn't play Detroit. For me, that was solely based on the fact that they are really bad on the road versus right-handed pitching. You know what I'm saying? So you got to pick your spots. You look at it all together, and then you pick the best situations. That's what it's all about. This is situational for me. I'm picking the best situations I can find teams in. So let's go and take a look at the Toronto Blue Jays at the Rogers Center against left-handed pitching and see how that's been doing well for them. Or it might be okay. Pretty middle of the pack, man. 27.8% K rate, 156 ISO with a 258 WOBA. Both of these teams are bad in the situation that they are in today. The problem is, man, CC just has not been going a ton of innings, man. 13.83 in his last start. Excuse me, 7.3 in his last start. 4.15 before that. 18.45 before that. He just hasn't been pitching a ton of innings. You go back to J.A. Happ here in this spot at 7.5. Really solid showing out against Chicago White Sox. The only problem was that was the White Sox. So I don't know if you can expect the same. Well, I don't think you should expect the same performance against the Yankees. As a matter of fact, you look at what the consensus is going to be in terms of the game. You've got Toronto Blue Jays, a favorite, a money line favorite at negative 122. So if you're saying that you're going to get the Yankees sort of as an underdog in this spot, yo, it may be something to use. It may be. There may be something to use. Maybe something today. Next game we got is the San Diego Padres and the Cincinnati Reds. Luis Perdomo, 5.5. Sal Romano, 6.3. Romano in his last start, not very great. 6.7 points. Before that, 13. Before that, 27 against the Miami Marlins. Both of those games. I'm done with fucking with Romano. I'm done. At the Coors and Brewer Stadium, this is the best hitters park in the league. Game stack Batista is cheap as shit. I like that. I like that. I can think that. I can't fuck with Romano. Perdomo at 5.5. He's a guy that can throw some strikeout gas, but here against what I feel like is going to be a hotter Cincinnati Reds team, now that they're pretty much getting a little bit healthier, I don't love him either. Taking a look at what the Reds do at home versus right-handed pitching, it's not going to be overwhelming. It really isn't. But take consideration that this is a team that hung up 11 runs last night, and a lot of that, these bad numbers were due to not having Zach Cozart in the fold for the last month. 20.5% is going to be the K rate here. 109 ISO with a 302 WOBA. This is what I threw out of the window when we talked about this, because we talked about these numbers from last night. I threw this out of the window. I was like, you know what? With Cozart back, I'm not trusting these numbers from the last month from the Cincinnati Reds. To me, Cozy is like the glue, bro. Cozy is like the glue to that team. When he is in the order, they are a completely different team. And if you were in the line job and you heard me gushing over Cozart, and you knew to play him and Votto, get him in your lineups, and it was a really solid one, okay? So I don't have any interest in Sal Romano, especially don't have any interest in Luis Perdomo, even though both of these guys are very cheap. I think we can get behind a couple of the San Diego bats in this spot against Romano. I've got no issue there. They've been hitting the ball pretty good. And you look at Great American Ballpark, this is one of the better places in the league to hit, man. I'm telling you. Let's go check it out. Cincinnati ranked third in park factors. I'm talking every 100 runs, you're going to get 104 here. For every 100 home runs, you're going to get 130 here. So this is a very solid place to hit if you do like the bats in the spot. Next game we got is the Colorado Rockies and the Cleveland Indians. Jeremy Marquez, 7.1. Corey Kluber, 12.4. Check, please. Just play Corey Kluber. Just play Corey Kluber. Okay, first things first. The Colorado Rockies suck on the road against right-handed pitching. Let's take a look. I want to show you that for sure. Look where they are. 1.18. Oh, okay. 118 ISO. 27.1% K rate. 275 is going to be the WOBA. So I've got no issue at all right now saying Corey Kluber will make it into just about every lineup that I make tomorrow. Love him. 12.4. Give me all the Corey Kluber that I can stand. Okay? Jeremy Marquez, 7.1. Don't really like him a lot. The Cleveland Indians, they're a lot better against lefties, but I want to take a look at what they do at the crib versus right-handed pitching. 192 ISO, usable. 349 WOBA with a 20% K rate. It makes complete sense. I love him. Love him here in the spot. Definitely, you can give me that. Yeah, you know Marquez, Corey Kluber. I will like some of the Cleveland bats. Let's move on to the next game. We got Texas Rangers and the New York Mets. This game is going to be in Citi Field. Pretty much a pitcher's park here. We got Andrew Cashin at 7.9, Chris Flexen 4.5. We look at the Texas Rangers on the road versus right-handed pitching, and I can tell you they're pretty decent, bro. They're pretty decent. We're talking a 180 ISO, 270 wobble, which should be better, and a 23.8% K rate. What this means is on the road versus righties, the Texas Rangers lefties are going to go off. So the Rangers lefties are going to be in play for me. I don't really love them as a complete stack. The 180 ISO is very appealing. That 270 Woba kind of makes me want to pump the brakes. But I think that you can grab some Texas lefties here and be in a very solid spot. Looking at the New York Mets here against Andrew Kashner, I'm going to really like the Mets in this spot. Looking at what they do at home against right-handed pitching, not bad at all, man. I'm talking 201 ISO with a 320 WOBA, 18.4% K rate. That is going to easily put some of the Mets in play for me, especially if you're getting Michael Conforto pretty cheap. You're getting Cabrera at 3.4, Jay Bruce is at 4.2, Cespedes 3.5, Granderson 4. Yeah, Mets. Yeah. Let me add that to my notes. Yes, you get Mets definitely. You get the Mets in there like that. Next game we got is gonna be the Boston. I said Celtics. The Boston Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays. You got Austin Pruitt 5.2, Chris Sale 12.6. I'm not playing for Chris Sale. There's no way I can pay for Chris Sale. Just not that into it. Don't love it. On the road, just scored 1.85 last time. 38 against Seattle, 31 against the Angels, 40 against the New York Yankees. I'm just not that into Chris Sale, man. Just don't love him, and I haven't, man. He hasn't won me over to the point to where I have to play him. I really don't. Kluber, on the other hand, in the right situation, I have to play Corey Kluber, but just not Chris Sale. Now, we look at the Tampa Bay Rays, and they do strike out a lot at home against left-handed pitching. Let's take a look. 22.7% of the time, a little bit less than I thought it was. 144 ISO with a 302 WOBA. I don't know. I just don't like Chris Sale on the spot. I'm not going to be on Chris Sale. I think against Austin Pruitt, you can definitely use some of those Boston bats here. I just do not like Chris Sale on the spot, and I won't be playing. Yeah, Kluber's just better. It's just pitching better right now than Sale is. Next game is a game that I am very interested in. We got the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. Julio Teheran is on the mound for the Braves at 6.9. You got Zach Eflin at 4K. 4K is cheap as shit. We take a look at what the Atlanta Braves do at home versus right-handed pitching. And the first thing I want you to do, man, when you look at this, when you see that they strike out 24.2% of the time with a 162 ISO and a sub 300 with a sub 300 ISO. Sub 300 WOBA. You got to ask yourself, is Zach Eflin a guy that can take advantage of that for the Braves? And I say no. Give me some Braves lefties here. I love some of those guys in the lineup. Julio Teheran at 6.9. I think he can be in play because he's, number one, he's fairly cheap. He's fairly cheap. Then you've got how bad the Philadelphia Phillies can be on the road. Let's take a look at what they do on the road versus right-handed pitching. 19.5% K rate, 132 ISO with a 318 WOBA. Maybe on some one-off shit because I'm not that sold out on Teheran. But I think this is a guy that you kind of could get behind if you had to. If you had to, you can get behind him. I'm not completely sold out to him. I'm really not. On the road versus righties, let's take a look again. Because that K rate is only at 19.5%. If that K rate would have been a little higher, man, maybe I could have gotten a little bit more excited about Teheran. I still don't love him. Then you got Freddie Galvis is cheap at 3.7. You got Daniel Nava at 3.7. Let me get off of Teheran. I can play a few of these bats, man. You got 19% chance of rain here as well. So keep up with that. This game we got is the Houston Astros. We got the Stros, baby, stroking, baby, against Chicago White Sox. Dallas Keuchel has been shitty. He has been shitty. 3.8, 1.3, and I'm gonna tell you something because usually this is where I get off the train, and the guy goes in. And I have a really strong feeling that when I don't play Dallas Keuchel tomorrow, he's gonna have a hell of a game against the lowly, hapless Chicago White Sox. Edmund Neves, if you're in the building, let me know what you think. We've got Adam Engel, Yoma Sanchez, Jose Abreu, Matt Davis, all of these cats, man. And they're cheap. They're getting a discount. They're getting a huge discount based off how good Dallas Keuchel should have been in the last two starts. and he hasn't been good, and these cats are still discounted. So I'm gonna take a look at some of the Chicago White Sox bats here. I'm gonna take a chance at maybe attacking Dallas Keuchel in a couple of spots, just with the really cheap guy that maybe can hit a double or maybe get a couple of hits in the game. So Keuchel, man, 11K. I mean, the dude has like 11K upside. He really does. He really does. Let's take a look at what the Chicago White Sox do at the crib versus left-handed pitching. 29.2% K rate, bro. 128 ISO, 255 WOBA. God darn it, man, that dude's in play, man. Looking on the plus, he's gonna be in line for the win too. Looking on the other side, man, we got Derek Holland at 4.2, a guy that I cannot play at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm gonna take a look at the Houston Astros on the road versus lefties and see what they do there. This should be towards the top somewhere. Okay, fourth in the league in this situation. Bro, 242 ISO, man. 395 WOBA with a 15.7% K rate. They are going to go nuts. And I guarantee you, with so much high dollar pitching on the slate, they're not going to be highly owned. I guarantee you. As a stack, I guarantee you. On a 15-game slate with high dollar pitching, this is not going to be a highly owned stack. And for that reason, I am going to have some Houston, most certainly. I like them in the spot. Not only I like Houston, I do like some Keuchel. Yo, and I'm gonna post who's gonna be the gang stack of the night, and I'm gonna have Houston in there, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, 70% of people are gonna say, oh, we're gonna play Houston, and when you get to and you see your tournaments, nobody's gonna play them, because when you're building your lineup and like all the other big major sites have dangled they've dangled Sale in front of your face and Kluber, and you gotta have Keuchel and Kluber and Sale, and your lineup is shitty if you don't have the most expensive pitcher in your lineup, and and we've got this value guy, Adam Engel is this value guy that you gotta have because he can help you to get Kluber and Sale, and like when you have that shit, and people be like, fuck it, I'm not playing Houston bats, give me Kluber and Sale and all these, you know what I'm saying? And then they just mop up with the regular good shit that you should have been on the whole time. I promise you, all day they're gonna dangle that shit in front of you. Watch Dallas Keuchel be like on one of them cats like guaranteed. Oh, you gotta play Keuchel, and you've gotta play Sale. You gotta play Sale all day. Oh, you gotta play Sale. You're lucky Coarse isn't on the slate because they would tell you, oh my god, get all the Coarse bench. It's gonna be a 15-run total. Like that's what they do. That's what they do. So I'm playing some Stros, man. The Stros have been stroking, and I'm gonna get me a piece of that most assuredly. Next game we got is the Milwaukee Brewers and the Minnesota Twins. Part 2 of this. Matt Garza 7.2, Alberto Mejia at 5.4. Yo, let's take a look at what the Minnesota Twins do at the crib versus righties, man. I don't think this is very awesome. I'm talking 22.2% K rate, 132 ISO with a 327 WOBA. You take a look, man. Good God Almighty. Matt Garza has not been bad recently. 19, 11, 7.65, 22 in his last 4 starts. A guy that, is not going to wow you with a bunch of strikeouts, but is playable if you need some salary relief at the pitcher spot. Alberto Mejia at 5.5. I want to see what happens on the road versus lefties in terms of the Milwaukee Brewers. I don't think that they're that bad. We got a 29.7% K rate, 181 ISO with a 338 WOBA. This dude is not a guy that can take advantage of that K rate. I'm telling you, Alberto Mejia is not a guy that can take advantage of the Milwaukee Brewers K rate. He's not. 7, 5, 13, 14.4, 14. Biggest total of the season he's had is 19. He's not a guy that can take advantage of that, man. So Milwaukee here, pretty good play. We are in target field, which I think is pretty much a neutral spot, not a great spot for hitting or pitching for that matter. Yeah, it's a fairly neutral spot. 101 runs, 91 home runs for every 100. Pretty neutral spot. So I would most likely, well, I'm definitely going to be looking at some Milwaukee bats in the spot, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Next game we got is the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals. Michael Wacha at 8.6, Jason Vargas 8.1. Pretty solid pitching prospects on the slate, man. We got St. Louis Cardinals who just ran it up on their ass. The money line is negative 131 right now with a 5.2 run total. On the other side, we got the home dog, the Kansas City Royals in the 118 money line, 4.3 projected runs in Kauffman Stadium. Pretty solid spot for pitching here. You got Michael Walker at 8.6, Jason Vargas 8.1. Let's go look at what the St. Louis Cardinals do on the road versus left-handed pitching. I want to take a look at this because I think they're pretty good. Yes, 213 ISO, 319 WOBA, 26.2% K rate. Now, is Vargas a guy that can exploit that K rate? Yes. And that's why I'm going to call this like the pivot game of the slate because I like Vargas. I do like Vargas to exploit that K rate, and I do think that everybody is going to want to play St. Louis because of how well they've been playing the last 2 games, and I think this could be a very spot where we see the Cardinals be one of the more high-owned stacks, and Jason Vargas is a guy that I think could beat that. On the other hand, if you don't like Vargas, I think you got to have some St. Louis Cardinals bats in your lineup. So I like Vargas here. I think Walker could be in play for me, but the simple fact, man, I just love the left-handed power from the Kansas City Royals, so I can't play Walker in this spot. I'm gonna take a look because this is a similar situation to what we saw with Carlos Martinez. It's a very similar situation. You look at Walker; he's been very good over his last few starts too. 12.2, 25.1, 11.9, 42, 25, 32. So he's had some pretty decent games recently as well. We look at this. The lefty power for the Royals is always in play. Cats like Moustakas and Hosmer is down at 3.2 here. That spot very cheap on him. Brandon Moss 3.6. Yo, Brandon Moss costs more than Hosmer. Brandon Moss costs more than Hosmer. Milky is more than the Haas. You know what I mean? So Moustakas at 4K. This could be a very solid, very pivotal matchup here. I kind of like this game a lot. I really do. Let's take a look at what the Kansas City Royals do at the crib versus right-handed pitching. There you go. 208 ISO with a 380 WOBA, 17.5% K rate. I think they're going to want to play well after getting the ass whooped like they did last night. Plus, I think I may have been a day early on this. I'm going to have some exposure to not only to a couple of St. Louis bats, but some Kansas City Royals. Next game we got is the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Just finally, we got the D-backs back at the crib. I like that. So Coarse is kind of on the slate. Coarse is on the slate. It's just not Coarse. It's called Chase Field. Course Light. We got Kenta Maeda at 7.3, Zach Godley 7.6. Yo, Godley is that dude, man. I have not wanted to really tell the truth about this recently, but yo, Godley is that dude, man. 24 against Chicago away, 30 against St. Louis, 19, 14, 19, 19, 26, 20. Very solid cat, man. This dude's been very solid. The problem is, do you want to play him against all that lefty power in Chase Field? That's the problem. That's the problem. Because this is not a situation where Godley's just going to hold these guys down and it's going to be like a middle scoring game. I don't think so. This game could blow the fuck up. This really could. This could be like the highest scoring game on the slate easily. But it's only a 9-run total, as you can see here. So Kenta Maeda at 7.3. He's had some decent starts as well over the last few. 29, 17, 15, 19. Not bad at all. So, I would like some. For me, the tie goes to the bats in a situation like this. I don't think I could play either of these pitchers with complete confidence. I really couldn't. And if I had to, I would err more to the side of Zach Godley, thinking that the Arizona Diamondbacks would hit well at home as they have been doing for the better part of the season. Let's take a look at what the Diamondbacks do at home against right-handed pitching. 217 ISO, 341 WOBA with a 25.2% K rate. That is a hefty K rate there, bro. Let's take a look at what the LA Dodgers do on the road versus righties. 224 ISO with a 351 WOBA and a 22.1% K rate. And that just spells game stack for me, bro. It just really does. It just spells throw the pitchers out of the window, stack as many bats as you can from this game, and let it ride, man. It really does. Next game we got is the Seattle Mariners and the Oakland Athletics. Ariel Miranda, 6.5. Kendall Graveman, 6.2. We're taking a look at what the Seattle Mariners do on the road versus right-handed pitching. And I don't think they're going to be a surprise, man. 19.6% K rate, 142 ISO, 270 WOBA. Not very great here. We look at what the Oakland A's do at the crib versus left-handed pitching, and I think it's going to be pretty decent. Oh, no. No. They're horrible. They're horrible at home versus lefties. 22.1% K rate, 0.090 ISO with a 275 WOBA. Horrible. You got to ask yourself, is Ariel Miranda the kind of pitcher that can exploit that horrible, dreadful line? 10.5, 23.9, 12.4, 6.5, 7, 25. I don't like it. I don't like it, and I definitely don't want to play Graveman. This game screams fade, like stay away from me. This game we got is the Baltimore Orioles and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim playing in that big old park. We got Parker Bridwell priced down finally to 6.7. You got Jeremy Hellickson at 7.7. Hellickson, a guy who I don't like at all, who can easily get hit up. 21 against Kansas City in his last start, 5 against Milwaukee, 20 against Milwaukee, 12, 8, 23, 16, -5. Has had some decent starts, but it's not very consistent here. Going against the Angels, this is a big pitcher's park situation. You look at Parker Bridwell at 6.7, a guy that we kind of wanted to use last time out, man. He had a great game against Toronto, had a bad one against Philadelphia. We're looking at what the Angels do at the crib versus right-handed pitching, and it's not bad for them at all. It's really not. Where we at? 16% K rate, 159 ISO with a 312 WOBA. Those are not numbers that are going to wow you, but it's not horrible. Look at the Baltimore Orioles on the road versus righties, and take into consideration how well they've been playing lately, man. 163 ISO, 312 WOBA with a 19.7% K rate. That makes them usable somewhat against Parker Bridwell. So I don't want to play any of the pitching in this spot. The next game and the last game on the slate is going to be the Chicago Cubs and the San Francisco Giants. Jose Quintana at 10.5, a guy that I kind of like here in this spot. You got Ty Block, who sucks. Let's take a look at the Chicago Cubs and what they do on the road versus lefties. 185 ISO, 337 WOBA with a 21.6% K rate. That makes them usable and Ty Block unusable. We're looking at what the what the San Francisco Giants do at the crib versus left-handed pitching to give us a barometer here on what they like. And this is one of the worst teams in the league at the crib against left-handed pitching. 0.092 ISO, 264 WOBA, a 21.6% K rate. And you know, can Jose Quintana exploit that the fact that the worst situation for the San Francisco Giants in terms of striking out is when they're at home versus a left-handed pitcher. That is the absolute worst situation for them. Give me some Quintana. I like Quintana. He is a guy that's definitely in play. So let's go over the pitching prospects that we all have hammered out. And of course, we're going to shrink this down, man. In the line drive, man, we're really going to shrink it down and bring it down to the last guys that we like. We've got Corey Kluber at the top, of course. Dallas Keuchel, begrudgingly, Dallas Keuchel here, who we could go the other way on his ass in a New York minute. We can go the other way on his ass and jump on the White Sox at any time. So he's holding on by a thread. Quintana, we really like him a lot. Vargas, we see him as playable. J.A. Happ is a guy that I am reluctant to play, but if I look at the Yankees order and it looks really shitty, I might play some J.A. Happ. Kind of like Chad Kuhl, the same way we like Trevor Williams last night. I think he can be in play, and that is the cheapest cat that we got. So it's not a lot of pitchers that we got. We don't have a big, huge pool. The guys we got, we're going to be on them. We got one, Chad Kuhl, J.A. Happ, Vargas, Quintana, Keuchel, Kluber. That's like 6 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's cool. So we shaved 2 cats off of this list, and we good to go. Because I like to roll into my DraftKings day with 4 pitchers, right? So this, of course, has been your DFS Jerusalem. You can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem, man. Letting you know, man, y'all have a wonderful, safe, and profitable day. Get with us in the line drive at 5, man. Go out and listen to all that other shit that you want to listen to, but then come back to the line drive at 5, and let's chop this shit up for real as soon as the batting orders come out. Peace. If you're on FanDuel, keep it 250. If you're on DraftKings, keep it 300. You rocking with the best. We out.